the great Australian automotive geriatric. And no, dude, I'm not talking about myself, as that would be both undignified and fairly uninteresting. I'm talking about Wheels magazine, of course. Wheels, the internet will never be a thing. People will always prefer paper magazine. That one. Apparently, Wheels is not dead. At least, I think they're not dead. In any case, they just issued a hilarious, self-roasting press release. And logically, there's only two places that might have originated. Dr. Kevorkian's waiting room or the afterlife. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au. New cars cheap, but Australia only. Website. Card. Automotive Christmas is coming a week early this year for we proud sons and daughters of the HQ Holden and the XY Falcon. The 18th of December, mark that date, dude. That is when geriatric Wheels will zimmer frame out onto the stage and shuffle the shroud off Bullshit Car of the Year, COTY 2024-25. This is shaping up to be the best COTY ever, in my estimation. The B squared E of COTYs. It could be the biggest suck that we've ever seen, and I do so deeply hope so. And I'd like to thank Wheels for its bravery in issuing this delightful press release, which audaciously, by implication, dares the media to comment on the upcoming COTY. Happy to oblige an old friend. Nearly dead dudes. I've been using Sonax SX90 Plus for almost a year now, and in that time, it's become my go-to spray lube here in the Fat Cave. SX90 Plus is a premium German multifunctional oil in a pressure pack, but you can also get it in 5-litre bulk packs. It displaces water and it's got good solvent and excellent corrosion protection properties as well. I use SX90 Plus with Scotch-Brite to knock down surface rust, which happens everywhere down here, and for the dozens of other applications that crop up when you're repairing and rebuilding, civilization. It's extremely effective, and it seems to have a lot of oil in it per unit volume. Like some competitors seem to be mainly just solvent to me. And the precision nozzle is built in, so I'm kind of done fiddling with the little taped on tube on the side of the can that you inevitably lose in the first 5 minutes. When you fold that nozzle down, SX90 Plus just reverts automatically to a wider spray. SX90 Plus is a premium product from Germany. Sonax does a heap of car care stuff as well. The car care range is excellent too, and it caters to everyone from professionals and enthusiasts to people like me who just want to knock the dirt off quick and reveal a somewhat clean car underneath. Go to sonax.com.au now. You'll get 10% off if you use the code AUTOEXPERT10 across the whole range of Sonax products. I'll put a link in the description. That SX90 Plus really is awesome stuff. Okay, I trust you now have a vomit bag at the ready. Here we go. Now the longest running annual car award in the world, Wheels COTY, is cherished by both automakers and consumers as a trusted verdict on the best all-round vehicle on the market each year. No, it's not. That's not how COTY works, dudes. It's not a snapshot of the best vehicles on the market. The COTY field is by definition limited to only cars newly released in a 12-month window. That's how it's always worked. I've written dozens and dozens of features for Wheels, historically speaking, including many nauseating COTY fillers. Mainly because the two most satisfying words in all of freelance writing are tax, invoice. This fundamental disconnection between the award and actual new car buyers, with the award being newly released cars only, like a bit of an industry suck, and actual new car buyers selecting from essentially every new car on sale, even if 3 years since it was released kind of thing, is one of the things that makes COTY so preposterously irrelevant to people who actually buy new cars. You'd think you could at least trust them to represent accurately how their own award fucking well works. Over a week, 6 current and former editors of Geriatric Wheels magazine put each car through its paces at Victoria's Lang Lang Proving Ground. I do hope that's not an example of the quality journalism in Geriatric Wheels itself. Surely it was 1 current editor and 5 former editors. Is there any other way that could possibly work? All I can say is there must have been an epic audience backlash over the preceding COTY, which they gave to the Ford Everest entertainingly, which is a damn fine call, except A, Everest isn't actually a car, so there's that, and B, Ford is amazingly shit at reliability and customer support, which are both, last time I looked, pretty damn important to actual car buyers, aren't they? Imagine dusting off and resurrecting 5 Wheels MC has-been editors. Dude, I hope they were cheap. Imagine putting them in a room together for a week. Narcolepsy warning. In 2024, Wheels COTY is back, bigger and better than ever, with 25 cars in the running for the prestigious award. In a sign of the times, close to half the field is made up of electric vehicles. This, to me, is fascinating, right? Half of the field, or at least close to it, are EVs. Now, EVs make up less than 10% of new car sales in Australia. This is a fact, and because it's a fact, you don't have to like it. It doesn't give a shit if you like it. It's still gonna be a fact, okay? Less than 10% of new vehicle sales are EVs. Half of the contenders for Geriatric Wheels COTY are EVs. Can you hear that, dude? That sound is the sound of new car buyer relevance. That's the sound it makes when it sprints over the horizon. You can probably guess where this release is going next. This year, Geriatric Wheels is proud to welcome a new official partner of the award, Smart, one of Australia's leading car leasing providers. This, of course, is beyond merely a perfect fit. Geriatric Wheels has no money. That's why it was on the market for so long before the new owner stepped in, mercifully. It's kind of a commercial black hole. Now, booking Lang Lang for a week and stashing, quote, 6 current and former editors in some rat's nest and feeding them the hangers-on, photography, video, manicures, Wagyu beef burgers, braised swan, all of that. It gets expensive fast doing this kind of thing. And Smart is, of course, only of median intelligence, but it is a novated leasing specialist financier with, according to it, quote, over 60,000 cars currently being driven through novated leasing through Smart. This is obviously, smart speak for financed by us. I don't see how all 60,000 could be just contemporaneously driven at the very random moment that you click on their About Us page. That would be fantastic if it could be arranged, but I'm not seeing it. Anyway, of course, the interesting thing here is A, bad incentives in journalism, and B, the appearance of a massive conflict of interest. At least that's my opinion. I say this because Smart, like all novated leasing providers, is currently groaning under the weight of gold piled upon them by the Albanese government's zero FBT incentive for EVs and plug-in hybrids. They have done thousands more lucrative deals than otherwise would have been possible without that incentive. It's a torrent of gold, dude. Literally, novated leasing has become a modern-day net zero-inspired gold rush. And Smart and its cronies, like they're not alone, are the real beneficiaries here. The majority of their business, the huge spike in revenue and profit, is essentially a consequence of the Albanese-Bowen electric dystopian incentive deal, which is only accessible to punters via a novated lease. So I would argue that if you're a geriatric magazine in a Zimmer frame waiting for Dr. Kevorkian's receptionist to say, "Dr. K will see you now, goodbye," then it's awfully nice to have Smart kick the tin to fund the COTY. That's great. Obviously, all Smart wants is value for money. It's a commercial arrangement, right? They want value. Geriatric Wheels needs money and Smart needs something else, don't they? More deals, higher profile, a good fit, positive exposure, alignment of values, more gold. And that's kind of important to them too. And the most golden deals are the electric ones, right? That's just how it is. So I'm not saying the award is bent over and paid for, not at all. I'm saying there's an apparent conflict of interest, in my opinion, between the interests of the sponsor, Smart, which wants even more electric deals, and the interests of the audience, which wants Wheels to let the best car win, presumably. If you're the commercial director of Geriatric Wheels, A, what was second prize, dude? And B, it would be awfully nice for an EV to win the COTY because that might inspire the only averagely intelligent Smart to double down and go again next year, mightn't it? I'm not saying that anything untoward is afoot, not at all. How would I even know? There's no evidence for that of which I am aware. But if this kind of thing happened in politics, question time would not be boring that day, would it? As I see it, it's an apparent conflict of interest. It might be like Fight Club even, but even if nobody talks about it, Fight Club still exists, right? Like, they made a movie about it. This is even more interesting to me because the paragraph in that release just explaining that roughly half of the field is electric is followed directly by the announcement that Smart is the official sponsor. They don't even call them a frickin' sponsor. They call them a, quote, official partner. Cap O, cap P, like it's a proper fucking noun. The term sponsor, and I've worked in the media for decades now, in TV and radio and print and online, like I've got the full set of frickin' t-shirts. This suggests to me, sponsor, suggests to me an organisation kind of at arm's length from the media project, perhaps, which does little more than just pay for the privilege of association with something compelling. Now, when I see the term partner, I inevitably infer a more active role. Wheels audience, right? Skewed towards the old fart, I'd suggest. Kind of like me, only, not as much of an asshole, perhaps. Many of whom, I would argue, are pathologically over the soy boy push to net zero and the mind-bending scientific illiteracy that accompanies anyone who embraces that. EVs, to the non-quasi-religious net zero fanatic, are not better than combustion cars. They're just not. They are, in fact, worse. They depreciate faster, they burn harder, they're less convenient to live with, they can't be refueled in 5 minutes. They're providing plenty of evidence at the moment that they are a reliability and maintenance cost disaster. Just ask Hertz. In the face of all of this, my sincere advice to geriatric wheels management and judges would be, read the fucking room, geniuses. Always good media advice when you think about it. The choice might actually boil down here to alienating the audience or alienating the sponsor, which is kind of Faustian, but if that's a corner, they painted themselves into it, so zero sympathy factor from me. In fact, I don't see the strategic value of issuing that press release at all, except in the context of it being something of a suck to Smart. See, A press release is when an entity does something that it sees as worthy of media attention. And this is how it gets that. This Wheels press release was posted on a website you've probably never heard of called News Press Australia, which is basically a repository of mainly official car company press releases aggregated for the benefit of generally motoring journalists. Like, they have to approve your login credentials for you to access those releases. So, Geriatric Wheels posting a press release for its competitors is quite a strange move when you think about it. The thing about competitors in the media is that they would rather die than talk you up. Except if you drop dead, then you're always a saint. Go figure. Therefore, as I see it, the whole purpose of this waste of virtual space is to give Bianca Bates, the cheese of customer whatever at Smart, the opportunity to say something like whatever she wants, and then perhaps Wheels can print it out subsequently and shove it under her beak at some later date to emphasise just how much traction jumping in the sack with Geriatric Wheels, metaphorically, generated. Becoming the official partner, whatever, bilateral back scratching of this nature, like, look what we delivered, Bianca. Smart's Chief Customer Officer, Bianca Bates, said this year's Wheels COTY was exciting for Australia and reflected a new era for the auto industry. Really, exciting for the nation. I'm not actually seeing that. And a new era. Did she actually say that? What are the salient characteristics of this era that make it different enough to qualify as new? The cars coming to the Australian market are changing rapidly, making the quality information provided by Wheels crucial for customers. Really? I didn't realise that either, so thanks for the tip. How rapid is this change exactly? See, as I see it, there's roughly about 300 different models of new car, like all light vehicles, 300 of them on sale in Australia today. And Wheels has only 25 contenders for their award, right? And they get there only by virtue of being newly released in the lead-up during the qualifying 12-month window. So, as I see it, that's roughly like in the ballpark in terms of evolution of the market. It's only about 10% change annually. If that's rapid change, okay. Novated leasing allows customers to own the latest car flexibly and cost-effectively and is particularly popular with EV drivers. B squared again there, customer cheese from Smart, concluding the official partners say in the release. Interesting comment when you think about it. Completely unrelated to the awards seemingly, but emphasising the popularity of EVs in the novated leasing space. Now, I would argue that I foresee a very different set of conversations in the aftermath of COTY, right? One quite jovial conversation if an EV wins, another somewhat more sombre exchange if a combustion car wins. Perhaps I'm just overthinking this and there's a robust separation of powers in place for them. I'm not sure. As for this alleged flexibility of novated leases, I think we need some context there too. They are flexible on vehicle choice and usage, and you can even novate a used car up to 7 years old if you want. And the term is quite flexible before you lock it in and sign the contract. But in many ways, novated leasing is one of the least flexible car ownership arrangements ever, especially once you have established yours. See, if you want to get out early or you get boned and your new employer doesn't offer a novated lease, there can be blood all over the floor financially as a consequence of the lease's inherent inflexibility. Which is why you really have to consider very carefully whether a novated lease is right for you. You need stability of employment, for example, and a clear picture of your motoring future for the term of that lease. That's kind of not negotiable if you want to do this intelligently. It's no good committing to I don't know, that MX-5 you've always dreamed of owning, and in 18 months' time you get home, it's just a normal evening, and then your lovely wife says, honey, I'm up the duff, and it's triplets. Imagine that. Let's see how frickin' flexible that novated lease is in those circumstances. Dude. The fundamental problem for geriatric wheels remains that the only people under 40 who ever see a paper edition of the magazine have just dropped in to make sure their ageing grandfather didn't die earlier in the week. Additionally, geriatric wheels has no digital footprint. Like, that ship sailed years ago and they were not on board. Geriatric Wheels, for example, has 47,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm just going to say this. Fat bastard in his cave with zero budget, 408,000 subscribers. There's a reason for this, and it's not that I'm an egomaniac. It's about effort and direction. Geriatric Wheels has made 547 YouTube videos. I think that's the number. But only 9 or 10 have been made in the past year. Imagine that. And the biggest view count in that time is 18,000 for the Hyundai Santa Fe, the one with the rear that looks as if it were designed in Pyongyang, okay? Ranging down to the MG HS Plus EV review, which looks pretty much to me like a sponsored suck, although I might be wrong about that, but I'm not wrong that it's had only about 963 views in 4 months. Like, awesome. This is what digital defeat looks like. I would further surmise that Geriatric Wheels has a geriatric skewed audience, right? Geriatrics like me, only I can't watch or read any of it anymore because as a geriatric and a former deeply committed contributor, I conducted endless handling Olympics and tyre tests and many other features and interviews of executives, whatever, for Wheels shortly before the rot started. And it wasn't me doing that caused the rot to start. Before you get started in the comments, I'm completely blameless in that domain. But now I can't cop what I would describe as the insipid, up-itself soy boy tone of the whole magazine. I'm not blaming the contributors for this. I'm sure they try very hard indeed, and it's not an easy gig, but the whole thing is a mess of self-indulgent non-storytelling. I wouldn't know how to start fixing it, and I wouldn't want to do that even if I did, but they could start, I suppose, by telling actual exclusive stories, by giving the audience access to content they care about, like the audience cares about, but couldn't get any other way. How about leveraging that? As things stand, they're charging $13 for the same information on paper, which you could have accessed for free from competitors 6 weeks earlier online, which is a pretty interesting business model and not without its challenges. On the plus side, I suppose, with the upcoming and almost certainly electric COTY issue, at least they hired a proper test track and did actual testing using Cody Crocker, the 7-time Shitsville Rally champion. He's a legend, that dude, and a good bloke, and not a bullshitter, so that's a plus. Perhaps this even puts Geriatric Wheels ahead of Nine's evil empire over at Drive, which apparently does its COTY entirely by spreadsheet now, which to me is amazing. Who needs track testing when you can just have a meeting and nut it out? Anyway, look out for the COTY announcement a week before Christmas. I'm pretty sure that TP and my duds will make it virtually impossible to sleep on COTY Eve. And maybe that's just how it should be. Let me know in the comments too. Will the COTY be an EV? Is it a foregone conclusion, or do I just need a few more layers of tin foil in my damn hat to block Elon Musk's mind meld electric vehicle propaganda signals?